Hello guys, welcome to the video. So in this video, we'll solve the question exclusive type of functions in C++. So what is this question? I will tell you about it. So let me take you to the editor and then we will understand what's the question. So firstly, I have to build timeline for this question. So I will build the timeline 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And what's the input of this question? The input of the questions are functions. All right, so these are not that type of functions which we just have to find out. The output should be, we just have to find out the time used by the functions. That's it. All right, so I hope you understood it. We just have to find out and give the output the time used by the functions. All right, so it's very simple. So we are given, let's say, two functions. So n is 2. So n is our number of functions. So this is our number of functions and we have given two functions, let's say. And what will we do? Let's say, let's take a example from the question only, the sample input which we have here. Let's cut it from there and paste it down here. Let me scroll it down, and yeah, here is our sample input. Let's take it to the screen and then I will explain you by using this sample input only. All right, so firstly I will explain you what's inside the sample input. So this 2 is my n, this 2 is my n. All right, so what is n? N is the number of functions. So I am given with two functions. All right, so in this code I will be using two functions. All right, so, and not two functions, n number of functions, sorry. For this dry run I will use two functions because I am dry running for this input. All right, and what is 4? 4 is our log. I will explain you afterwards. So first let us build two functions. And what are the starting indexes and ending indexes? So leave this. I will explain you. First I will create an example, normal example. Then we will go to this sample input. So let's create two functions. All right, so two functions named 0 and 1. So my first function is named 0th function. All right, so let's start this 0th function from here. All right, let's start this 0th function from here and end this at, let's say, 7. So I'll write my 0th end is here. All right, very simple. So now what we will do, we will start from 0 and end at 0th end. All right, at 7. We'll start from 1 and end at 7. All right, so inside this, what is happening? Inside this there is a child function, because a function can call another function. So if what the time used by that function, that secondary function, that child function inside my main function is not calculated inside the main function, right, is not calculated inside the main function, it's the time used by that function is different. All right, so what I'm saying, I will tell you, if I have another function here, let's say for one first function, and start here and it ended, let's say, here. All right, so I'll write it ended here. So this function took some time and this function took some time, but the time taken by this function, this whole function, 0th function, is not this much, the time taken by 0th function is clipped by this much time by a first function. All right, so this much time is used by another function inside the 0th function. All right, so our 0th function is taking time, let's say 0, and I'll write first, so I will put interval here. So what's the interval of, what's the time of, let's say in seconds, what's the time of 0th function? So my 0th function is executing only, delete this all, my 0th function is executing only at this point till this point, because, and this point also. All right, so in between this some other function is using the time. because at one time only one function can can take the time. All right, so my time for 0th function is 1, 2 and 3 seconds. All right, so I'll write time taken by 0th is 3 seconds, and time taken by, let's take it yellow, time taken by first function is 1, 2, 3 and 4, so 4 seconds. All right, so time taken by first function is 4 seconds and 0th function is 3 seconds, and the total time took by is 0 seconds. All right, so how will we find intervals? So what is interval? Interval is this time only. All right, so how will we find it? Interval is ending minus starting time plus 1. All right, so it's very easy. We will use this formula afterwards, then I will tell you it again. All right, so let's move on to the question and let's create the sample input inside this timeline. So I will delete this all. Let's delete this line also. I will create a new line for the new input. All right, I will create the timeline 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and yeah, we needed it only till 6 only. All right, so what we will do now, I have given input as 2, and what is logs? These are logs. We can also write it as lengths. So we will talk it up afterwards about it, because after we will create functions, then only I can explain it. Yeah, so what was I doing, right? So now I will create a function for this, All right, for this, what will happen, it will start the 0th function. So this is the index and this is the starting point. All right, if it is written start, then it is starting point. If it is written end, then it is the ending point. So 0th function will start from 0. So I will start my 0th function from here. All right, then I will start, then I will go to the second point, then I will start my first function from 2. So I will start my first function from 2. All right, so now I will end my first function at 5 also. So my first function is ended here. All right, and now my 0th function is ended at 6. So my 0th function is ended here. 0th is ended. All right, so I hope you understood this. I will create some lines for you to understand. So this is our function, this is our 0th function, this is our first function, and what are these 4s? These 4 are logs. All right, so this and these are logs. The ending, the starting and the ending points are the logs. So we are given 4 logs. So the length is 4. All right, I hope you understood this. So now what I will do, this 0 is not working till the end from 0 to 6. No, because in between first function is working. So my 0 is working only from 0 to 1 and then at only 6. If, for example, if first function was working from 2 to 4, all right, if first function was ending here only, then my 0 was working from 0 to 1 and 5 to 6. All right, because at one time only one execution will be take place. So it will run from 0 to 1. It's not the end, right? It's not the end, but its running time is this only. Its execution time is this part only. All right, so we have to calculate only the execution time of it. All right, nothing else. So the execution time is this only and this only. So what's the interval? The interval is basically starting point minus ending point plus 1. But if I had some child functions also, then I will minus the child functions, and that's my final interval. All right, so I will find out the interval for 0. So my 0 starting point, ending point is 6, starting point is 0 and plus 1. it means 5, 6 plus 1, so it's 7. All right, so 7 is my interval of 0, but in between one interval does take place, so I have to delete child execution from it. If it has child execution, we have to delete child execution. So for 1 there is no child execution, so the ending point 5, starting point 2 plus 1, it means 3. 5 minus 2, 3 plus 1, it means 4. All right, so 4 is our child execution. So for 0, 7 minus 4, it means 3 is the final answer. So yeah, what we saw, 3 was our final answer for final execution time for our 0. All right, 3 is our final answer for 0, and 4 is our final answer for 1. So now we understood what is it and how we are pursuing it, but now we will understand how we will pursue it, how we will solve it. All right, so I will delete this all except the input, and now what will I do? I will create another line. Let's make it somewhat upwards, because I will use the down space, and then I will write the timeline as I created every time. 7, 8. All right, so let's take the same example. I will explain you why I am taking the same example again, or if you want, I can also give you another example. Let us take first another example, then I will solve for this example. So let's start a 0 from here. We are not taking this example. All right, so do not see this example now. Now what we are doing, we are using start from 0 and starting 1 from here and ending it at 3 first, and I hope you understood it. So we are ending it at here. In between, now we are starting 1 for 1 at 5 and ending it at 6. So this is here. All right, and we are ending our 0 at 8. So yeah, so I'm ending it here. So this space is used by 0 only. So where my 0 executed, 0 is executed from here to here at fourth position at 7 and 8. So 0 is utilized only at this times, and other than that 1 is utilized, 1 is executed. So the execution time of, let's say, if you want to find the execution time, what we will do, firstly I will write interval of 0, 1. So what will I do? I'll first calculate it for 1. So for 1, the interval should be 2, because starting point minus ending point plus 1. So what is starting point? 3 minus 2 ending point, and sorry, I spelled it wrong. We have to minus ending point minus starting point plus 1. So it is the ending point, it is the starting point, and it is plus 1. So 3 minus 2 plus 1, so it's 2. All right, so 2 is the interval of this execution. All right, now again for 1 I have to again use it. So ending time is 6, starting time is 5 plus 1, so answer is again 2. So now what will happen, if 1 is executing 2 times at different places, so we will add them. So the execution time of 1 is 4. All right, execution time of 1 is 4, because it is executed at the different times, but it is executed. So we want total execution time. All right, like now we will go for 0. All right, and 1 is the child execution of 0. All right, so we have to minus this child execution from 0th time. All right, so 0 is executed at 1 minus 0 plus 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2 at 4. 4 only, so 4 is 1 only at 8 minus 7 plus 1. So 8 minus 7 is 1, so 1. Alright. So the execution time of 0 is 5 only. This time I have calculated it together. If I do not calculate it together, so what I will do, the total execution time of 0 is 9. Starting point, the ending point of 0 is 9, not 9, it's 8. Starting point is 0 and I will plus 1 in it. So 8 plus 1 is 9 and I will minus my child execution. So 9 minus 4 is 5. My child was 1. So my child was 1. So my child execution was 4 and 9 minus 4 was 5. So the 5 is the interval of 0. Alright. So I have calculated it by both ways. So I hope you understood it. So now what will I do? I will explain you for how we will solve it inside the code. Alright. I hope you have understood this now because we have taken 2 examples. So now we will solve it by how we will solve it. So I will use a stack. Alright. So inside this stack, what will I do? We have to create a index, a starting point, and a child execution. So we will try run this for this same example by using this same example which we are getting in sample input. Alright. So what we will do now, this is 3. Alright. So what we will do now, I will start putting inside the function, putting function inside timeline, then we will update the stack every time. Right. So now what we will do, I will start from 0. My 0 is started from 0. Alright. So I will input this. The index is 0, starting point is 0, and the child is also 0. I will input. Alright. Now at the second level, we go to the second level. 1 is started from 2. 1 is started. So I will write index 1, starting point 2, and child execution is 0. Child execution is 0 till now because it has no child execution, and for 0 also child execution is 0 till now because it has not completed the execution. Alright. If 1 completed the execution, then only I will tell you further. Alright. Then level is changed. So 1 is ended at 5. 1 ended at 5. What will I do? When we end the program, what will I find? The interval of 1. The interval of 1 is 5 minus 2. Ending point minus starting point plus 1. 5 minus 2 is 3 and plus 1 is 4. Right. So the interval of 1 is 4. So what will I do now? I will pop this out and add this child execution by 4 because it is the child of 0 only. So we have to add child execution and updated by 4 because the interval of 1 was 4. So my child execution was 4. So 0th child execution was 4. Right. Now 0 ended at 6. 0 ended at 6. Alright. So 0 ended at 6. So now what we will do? We'll pop this out and what we will get? First interval of 0. An interval of 0 is starting point, ending point minus starting point plus 1. 6 minus 6 plus 1, 6 minus 0 plus 1 is 7 only. So the interval of 0 is 7 and we have to minus this child execution. So 7 minus 4 is 3. So our answer should come 4 and 3. Alright, so I hope you understood this. I hope you understood this dry run. We just have to create a stack, push the values and pop the values. Alright, so now we will get to the code. We will code it down. So we'll go to our Nado's website. Yes. So what we have to do, we have to take first input integer n. Inside this, write n. Then what will I do? To take also that length. So I will take length also input. Then I have to create a stack of vector type, because we are keeping the values inside the stack, so that's why we have to create a vector type. Name, take it, and I have to create a vector for answer. Alright, so now I will run a for loop till from 0 till length, then plus plus. Alright, so now what? Now I have to create a vector. Sorry, not the vector. I have to take a string, because the input we are taking here, you can see here, start and like 0 colon start 0 is inside the string only. So we will take input, write the string, and then I will check some conditions. I will check my condition if at s string 2 there is a s. S means it is a start, right? If it is a start, then it is given s there. If it is a s, then I will understand that it is a start function, and if it is else, then I will understand that it is the end of the function. Inside it, create a vector temp. Alright, because I have to push the values. So what will I push inside it? I will push back first value which I got from the string. The first value is 0 here in first case. So 0, I have to create it to integer. Last value is also needed. So it is of 8 characters. So I will write 8 here. And then I will push 0, 0 at child execution. Alright. And then I will push my whole vector inside my stack. So my if part is completed. If it is if the function is starting, then this part will work. Alright. Now I have to write else part. So inside else part, I have to create a vector. Let's take it temp only. And then I have to take the value which is at the top of the stack now. Because before popping it, because we have came to the end, and then we have to pop it from the stack. So what we will do, we will first store the value, then we will pop it down. Alright, now I will calculate my interval. And how my interval will be calculated? I will write my ending point minus starting point. So my starting point is temp 0, and then I have to add 1. Alright, so marks my ending point of 8, sorry, it's of 6, which I have to convert to here. Alright, so very simple. I have to write 1 here, not 0. Now I will calculate my timer. How will I calculate my timer? Using interval minus temp 2. So why temp2? Temp2 why? Because temp2 is child execution. Alright, we created the vector. We have three partitions. Index, starting point, and child execution. So 0, 1 and 2. Alright. So I explained this. So if you want, I can explain it again. So I will explain you again what I am telling about. So I am telling the temp. What is the temp here? Temp 2 is this value. Alright, because this is the temp vector. So it is the child execution. Alright. I hope you understood this. So now we will get to the code again. Now I will store my answer inside my answer and store the answer value in temp 0 plus equals to time. Alright, timer. So inside my answer vector, there is first position, zeroth position, I will store my timer there. Alright, so now what will I do? I will check my stack. If my stack size is greater than 0, then what will I do? I will just create a vector again and take the value at the top of stack. Then again pop it. Alright, then what will I do? I will take the second value, then it down to the interval. Then push it inside the stack. I hope I understood. I hope I hope I made you understood everything. So why are we doing this? We are creating a vector. We are taking the top inside it. We are adding interval in A2 because if we suppose we are talking about 1 now, right? So how do we got this value? I have made it hodgepodge. Let me erase this and explain you. Alright, so I will create my stack again. Index, starting point, and child execution. So what will these three things do? Index is 0, starting is 0, right? Child execution is 0. So now we will go for 1, starting is 2, and child execution is 0. Now 1 will end. So when 1 will end, I will delete this. I will pop this out and add 4 inside my child execution. So this is what we are doing there, right? And we are popping down. Because this was the interval, we are adding one's interval inside the child execution of 0. So this is what we are doing there only. Alright, I hope you understood this. A2 is the child execution part and we are pushing it inside the stack. Now I hope I have completed everything. So we just have to print our answer. So I will take a for each loop inside answer, print, delete, handle. So I hope you understood this code. I'll make it bigger to make you see the code. Alright, so let's run this code and see what happens for this input. So yeah, there is some error in 41 line. So I will go to the 41 line. So yeah, okay, so I forgot to put a semicolon. So now we will run it. See, yeah, so it worked. Let's submit it. Nados. So yeah, looking very good. So our 5 test cases are passed and 3 are failed. So yeah, there are some faulty test cases in this question. So we will see it and we will correct it down. So I hope you understood this video. Till then you will solve this question by this code only. We will update the test cases soon, and if it is submitted by 5 test cases, then the test cases are fine. The test cases and the code are fine. Some test cases are faulty, so don't worry about that. We will update it soon. And alright, so I hope you understood this. So if you understood this, please like, share and subscribe our channel. We will meet in the next video. Till then, thank you.